joined with Sheila Vaccaro and Brian Travis. That's the call to order. Does anyone on council or administration have any announcements to make? Seeing none, we're going to move on to comments by residents in attendance. And we have Mr. Darrell Cook.
Darrell Cook, South Walnut Street. Is High and Minor Street complete? For those of you who think PennDOT engineers are geniuses, you haven't observed Route 3 at Route 2 activity. There's a hazard on East Minor Street at High Street. Someone put a curb out in the former travel lane without markings. Please don't wait until after the first snow to do something. I'd like to reserve the remainder of my time until after the engineer's report. Thank you.
Mr. Cook, where's this bump out?
East Minor Street at High.
Got it. The only thing that I know about the East Minor Street project is that they took down a tree and the sidewalk was lifted. I don't know whether that's been repaired yet. The director will be able to tell us later, but I think everything else is punched out, but thank you. Let's move on to the engineer's report. Mr. Klein.
Good evening, everybody. Nate Klein with Pannoni. I was not here the last month. My coworker John was, but I'd just like to provide an update on a few projects we have in the queue for this fall. As you guys know, the good news is we are working on getting 3 projects out to bid and out to construction. And the best part about that is about $750,000 of that is via different grants that the borough and our offices has obtained. So the 3 projects, how we've broken them down. One is the Goose Creek project at Public Works. That project has been out to bid. It's been awarded. We are working with DEP. There's a covenant on that site from some old fuel tanks and the contractor to get that scheduled, and that will get constructed this fall, barring any red tape issues from DEP. So that's in the queue here for this fall, and we'll probably have a little bit more information on specific schedule. I'm hoping in the next 3-4 weeks at the most with the contractor. Second is the Taylor Run Stream Bank project. I provided some visuals. I don't know if we have that exhibit up or handy. Will was here. Did you send that over? Oh, sorry. Taylor Run is the site essentially behind the new orthodontist office on the west side of town. I encourage you to go walk over the stream behind there if you so dare. You'll find some old car engines, some shopping carts, all kinds of fun stuff back there. As you guys know, as part of the borough's NPDS permit, PRP permitting, we were looking for projects to address stormwater issues. So again, going back to some old projects, working with Will and the borough team, this is a real good example of kind of the picture of what that stream looks like right now. You can't see the stream. Overgrown, takes all the debris kind of from that southwest quadrant of the borough or western quadrant of the borough. So what we're going to go in there, we've got some sketch plans pulled together. This is kind of the concept sketch that we have prepared. This is real kind of just high level type stuff. But essentially what you can see in this exhibit right here is the streams going from the right to left on this plan, leaving the borough. On the south side is where the orthodontist office is. And on the north side are some existing wetlands. We're essentially going to come through and essentially recontour that entire stream area. What we'll get is lower slopes, increased floodplain capacity, add to the wetlands, repair that whole area, slow down the velocity. And working with Will, we've gotten easements from this property owner as well as the property owner to the east, which is, I think the church has a youth facility or something over there. So we're working on the permits. The permit's not insignificant because of the stream and the wetlands. So right now the plan is to get this designed in accordance with DEP standards and out to bid this fall. That way, from a budget standpoint, we know what we're dealing with, and then construct this in the spring. Well, I don't want to say spring, construct this next year once we have the permit in hand. So we'll know that going into the permit or going into the bid documents that we don't have the permit in hand, but we know enough to design it per DEP standards. So we don't expect major issues. Plus, we're going to have a number in hand for kind of a little bit of a unique project, so we know what we're budgeting, so we can make those adjustments with the funds the borough has. So again, we'll have this out to bid. We are looking at a schedule to have bids due on October 30th. So borough will be making a recommendation at their November meeting. So that's the current schedule for this project. And this is going to be a real good project from a PRP standpoint. A lot of credit, a lot of value here. And again, our team's trying to maximize that wherever we can get. And I'm just going to blow through all three projects and then certainly can answer questions. Last project is going to be the Racket Complex at Hoops Park. Again, we've got some good sketches there. We've been working with Keith and his team and the residents up there, pickleball, tennis courts, kind of combination. Again, grant project, grant funding. Right now, oddly enough, these other two projects aren't a problem, but in this project, we actually have to get a bog turtle clearance. For whatever reason, it was a hit on the survey. So we have a bog turtle specialist, which is a thing, who's going to be out on site, I believe, a week from Monday, essentially confirming that there's no bog turtles. We then update DEP and we clear that issue. Again, this project, the game plan would be to bid this fall. I believe we're going to have more information for the October 8th Public Works meeting. And again, this would be a 2025 construction project. And again, this hopefully can ramp up even probably a little bit quicker than the Taylor Run one. So, three pretty cool projects that I think we're finally kind of coming down to the home stretch on here this fall. So we'll continue to update everybody. We've got a project coordination meeting with the borough on Monday. So we get together in my office, kind of bounce around all the projects. And then we've scheduled weekly calls with Will just to kind of update him on schedules, where we're at on each project, just to make sure things are progressing in a good fashion. So that's kind of on the capital side of things. So I'll kind of pause there. I talk fast. Any quick questions, any comments, thoughts?
Mr. Chavez, it's for Carol. All that debris shows in the picture, is that going to be part of the entire project, or should Public Works get in there with our tree guy and start lifting stuff out?
We actually, so.
Or do we
actually-
need a permit to do that?
Yeah, it gets a little tricky because it's you're getting into the stream. It's not really easy to access. So the one thing we did do is probably 18 months ago, 2 years ago, Kevin Gore and I worked with the contractor for that site when they were developing it. And we actually got a bunch of stuff out at that time while they had equipment on site, while they were there. At this point, it's probably not worth borough getting involved just yet. Probably easier to keep that in the whole scope of the whole project. That's a good question.
Looking at that and knowing that area, is there a plan sort of separate from you, how we can maintain this better moving forward?
Yeah, I think that's always kind of the hard part. It's a good example. I think that we've gone through a little bit is these various BMPs that you've seen, these little bump out areas here at the borough, kind of all over the borough. And I think it was kind of fits and starts, right? If you guys all probably recall, they don't want to grow right out of the gate. Somebody's got to maintain it. And I think ultimately, we as the borough got a contractor engaged that can do that work. So some of these projects, depending on the final result, might fall into that same kind of contractor, that same schedule, and are going to need a little bit more specific attention. And also, I think once we know what we have, we can develop a little bit of a maintenance plan to share with the borough, and they can determine, is that something Public Works staff can do, or is that something we need like a third party to get involved with?
To me, it could even be parks because it's sort of a wetland area. And I know Everhart has the wetland set up and there's maintenance there. And I think it's very important that we include some plan to maintain this in the future, that the neighbors who live on the other side of it, it really matters, the maintenance of this, for a number of reasons.
Well, yeah, and again, we finally get this all cleaned up and looking great. The last thing we want to do is, ignore it for the next 2 or 3 years again, and it gets all, so that's absolutely part of the equation.
Thank you.
Yeah, we had a former borough assistant manager that did an excellent job down the road a little bit further on the runoff from the apartments.
Okay.
And it wasn't part of the plan, but it got done. And nothing's ever grown in there except for grass, which looks great. So I think to Ms. Vaccaro's point, we did that, and that's been at least 4 or 5 years now, and it really still looks good. And that wasn't budgeted, but it was done. And she's trying to make sure that we have keep an eye on our infrastructure.
Okay, that's great.
Are you involved at all with the pedestrian bus shelter on South High Street, or is that Will Williams?
Not involved.
Okay, I'll talk to Mr. Williams. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and sure. I want to keep you guys posted too. On the other side of the line, working with Planning Commission, the borough team as well, 410 South High, the North Adams project across the street, 250 East Market. So again, all those land development reviews, we're kind of actively coordinating with the solicitor, the borough team, professionals and staff, just reviewing those, helping everybody out with that project as well. So
Thank you.
that's it.
All right. Public Works. Thought Mr. Anderson would come on up. Good evening. Hello, Mr. Edwards. Before we kick in, did we ever fix the street there at High and Minor with the guy pulled the tree out of the ground?
Yeah,
Lifted
we
the
did.
pavement? It's all
Yeah.
repaired?
It is, I don't know if the stump has been grounded.
It
But,
was still in the grate last time I saw.
Yeah,
I
okay.
mean,
all right.
yeah, all right.
But the hazard is gone.
Good, thank you. All right, appreciate it.
I'm going off script to start. That picture that was shown, I need to address that because a picture is worth 1,000 words, but it can also be very deceiving. Okay. The condition of that stream there doesn't look like in general. So I just want to provide some perspective on what you saw there. The highlights for the past month are as follows. We issued the notice to proceed for the 2024 paving project and conducted a pre-construction meeting. The contractor should begin work in the next 2 weeks, as I emailed you all. We planted about 70 trees and also began systematic pruning in the Walnut Street area, as you're aware. And we assisted the parking department with 2 bids, the wayfinding signs and a traffic bearing membrane for the 3rd level of the Bicentennial Garage. We're opening bids on Thursday for that garage project. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
You have any questions?
I might have an answer. This is secondhand information based on the meeting. But your bus shelter, I understand that the shelter itself has been ordered and it's going to come in. And then when the time comes, we're going to install it. But we have made progress on that there. If you want some more detail, Will, I'm sure, can give it to you.
Yeah, I'll ask Mr. Williams.
Okay.
Thank you, but thanks for the information. I appreciate it.
Okay.
And by the way, I'd like to point out that the Gage Street Business District, Public Works went up there and they scraped, painted all of the poles, the lamp poles, and took down all the old banners and all the brackets, and the streetlights look absolutely brand new. And I
Thank
thanked Mr. Edwards and Mr. Anderson earlier. It looks marvelous. So thank you.
Thank you.
Water waste.
Good evening, Sean Mitchell, wastewater director. This month we were a little bit busy. They got 2 of the brand new capital sludge recirculation pumps, the second one installed and online. We are very pleased on how efficient it is running compared to the old ones, and we see them probably purchasing more within the next couple of years to keep replacing the old ones. They're running so well. We actually had a microscreen tear. That's the machine that catches everything that comes in. A local fabrication shop actually fabricated a new bottom cage for us at a less than a quarter of the price of a new one. So that was done. New Street had some problems. We're working on that now with we had flow problems. Now we have a generator automatic transfer switch problem. We took down 2 tanks, cleaned, inspected, replaced all the gaskets. Goose Creek flowed an average of 646 million gallons a day. Taylor Run averaged 731 million gallons a day, and we survived Debbie. Questions?
How'd you make out with the painting and cleaning of the silo?
It is scheduled for September.
Okay. Excellent price.
Yes.
I saw the price. It looks like a big silo down at Goose Creek, and they're going to come in, same contractor who was Co-Stars. I went down and visited with the guys, got them the contractor, and they're going to clean it and paint it and make it look brand new again, and it's only $27,000, right?
Yes, half of what we budgeted, just
Yep.
over half of what we
Yeah.
budgeted.
It was great. It also helped that the guy that painted it prior was the same guy. So they already knew all the rigging, what they had to do. So it'll look great down there.
Yep.
Thank you for
Yep.
your help down there. Parks and Rec, anybody going to visit with us?
Mr. Karowski is out, but I can answer any. He's on the, oh, Keith is on. He's online. Thank you, Keith. The voice of Keith will now speak. Sorry.
The great and powerful Oz, Keith Karowski.
Keith, we can't hear you. You have to unmute your mic.
I did. That better off?
Loud and
Hello?
clear.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, getting a hold of you from good old Shillington, Pennsylvania. A couple things I wanted to touch on were some of the events that we had were going to take place, but Mother Nature just hasn't been very friendly with us. So we had several events scheduled for earlier this month and last month that are being rescheduled for next week. So I just posted this on Facebook on the Parks and Rec page. Just want to make sure I get it on record. We have 3 events taking place next week. Next Tuesday night is the rescheduled Night Out Against Crime / Touch a Truck event at the Henderson High School complex. Then on Thursday night, the 22nd, we have a rescheduled concert in the park at John O'Green Park that we're partnering with the Westchester Police Department and Mayor DeBaptiste. They're going to be providing some refreshments for the folks that are in attendance. And then next Friday night, the 23rd, is a new event that it's new to the Parks and Rec Department. The university held an event last year called Welcome Back Weekend or Welcome Back Night. And the Parks and Rec Department was asked to join with them this year. And we'll be utilizing the activation zones on Gay Street for a Welcome Back Night / Family Fun Night. It's not just open to residents or students. It's open to any and everyone that would like to participate. It's kind of similar to what we used to do with Super Sunday back in the day before the pandemic. We're going to have some activities, games, and obstacles that people can sign up to be a part of. So next week, when I'm back from vacation this week, will be quite the busy week. And then we're also we're looking ahead for the annual Chester County Restaurant Festival on September 15th. With all that being said, I did hear some conversations earlier in a few of the meetings that were taking place. Nate had mentioned that we're getting closer to getting a design for Park Racket Center rehabilitation, which I'm anxiously awaiting for. That's been a long time coming. We've about $250,000 in grants that will be supporting that project. I want to see what the designs look like that they've been working on, minus the bog turtle issue that we've got to take care of. And then earlier in the ACT committee, I heard there was discussions about non-vehicular transportation in and around the borough. I just wanted to let you know that that's something that the PROS plan is looking at as well, especially in and amongst our parks, trying to be more connective from park to park within the borough, non-vehicular, mainly pedestrian, whether it be walking and or bicycles, but that's something we're looking at as well. So hopefully we can combine those efforts as we move forward on both efforts. I don't know if there's any questions anyone has specific to the report that I wrote up, but I'm happy to answer anything you may have.
Keith, we don't have any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You as well.
All right, moving on to old business, approved July 2024 meeting minutes. Any issues?
Just the one issue with public comment, there was a comment about High and Minor. It keeps coming up about the safety issues and cars potentially hitting the narrow curbs. I think we know, we've heard it a couple times, but it seems to be an open question. And I'm just wondering if there's a way to close it. Can we answer the question around safety?
Well, I cannot answer that, but I can tell you that the last meeting or the meeting before, we had our engineer here, Kelly Groff, and we also brought up the curbs. We brought up the signals that look like straws looking out of the ground. And we're forewarned that in the bad weather or something, somebody's going to hit it. But I saw Mr. Edwards move, and maybe he has something he's going to tell us, but you cannot see those at nighttime. You cannot see those corners. And it's true. So.
The only thing I want to add is I haven't heard any concerns from our engineer or PennDOT about any safety concerns there. So I personally do not have any safety concerns with what was done. I mean, it was permitted by PennDOT, reviewed, professional engineer designed it. They make mistakes, but I don't have any concerns right now.
Mr. Travis, you okay? It's not an answer, but it's an answer.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that it's it's a comment, it was open, it was public. I want to make sure
Yeah.
that we're at least paying attention to and it's been addressed.
Yeah.
So right now, we don't see hazard or potential safety concern as of now.
It's funny, after I complained about those signals, of course, now I look everywhere where I go and I see them. You know, not just in the borough, different towns, they're all over the place. It just that they look so out of place there because we're not used to seeing them. That's all. So thank you. All right, moving on to new business. Discuss private trash and recycling collection in Chapter 62, toters versus dumpsters. I put this on the agenda because I want to talk to you guys about it. If you look at the picture right there, that's 303 South High Street. And Chapter 62 is garbage and rubbish refuge. In that, we have not addressed that chapter in a long time because no one's really paid much attention to it. What you see against that garage is not even mentioned in our Chapter 62. So what I did was I went over and I took the picture. That's not my car, but you can see where people are actually parking their car. And if somebody lives directly across the street, they cannot back out. So I'm going to talk about three simple things: quality of life, which is this: the neighbors that live on Walnut Street can't really back out. There's a car there. Safety and neighborhood enhancement. I went down that alley from one end to the other, and I counted 62 totes. That one house there at 305 South High Street has 15 totes, 15 of them right there. On the other side, I guess it's 307, they have 14 totes. And if you go down further, you can see in front of the silver car, there's 5 totes down there. I count 62 totes in this alley. This is not unique in the east section of town because as I drove around, I called Republic Waste Management and I said, is it cheaper to have a dumpster or totes? And it's cheaper to have totes because they only empty the ones, they charge them for the ones that are full. So they can have, according to our ordinance, you can have as many totes as you want. But this is what the quality of life looks like in the borough. In a private residential home, we are only allowed to have 2 trash cans, which are 35 gallons, and they can't exceed 60 pounds of trash in it. With unlimited, we could also have unlimited recycles. Unlimited recycles, we can only have 2 trash cans. So you can have 10 kids, 5 kids, you can only have 2 trash cans. The landlords have found a loophole in our 62. And it's our fault. It's not the landlord's fault. It's our fault because we didn't pay attention to it. And that's why I brought it up for discussion. I walked up and down, especially 305 and 307. I looked at, 303 and 305. What I noticed were there were 3-story buildings. It looked like an apartment on each floor. So that would be 2, 4, 6, right? So that would equivalent to 2 64-gallon totes. That's what they are. They're 64 gallons for 1 tote. So trying to clean up and make our town a lot more presentable in the alleys, because our alleys are very unique. People love walking up and down our alleys. What I would suggest to the committee is that because the totes are not in our ordinance, set a number of totes you can have per house, and anything that exceeds those totes, they have to switch over to a dumpster with wheels on it so they can move it in and out and not leave it in the alley, because there's a space in between that garage and that fence. And on the other side, there's a space, big space between, because there's people parking in there. So it's an eyesore for the borough. And like I said, it's not the landlord's fault. It's our fault for not paying attention to chapter 62. And I think that if I could write the rule, I would give them 3 totes and 1 large recycling tote, which is 64 gallons. And anything more than 3 totes, they have to switch over to a dumpster. So, I mean, that was my thoughts, but I don't know you guys.
Completely appreciate this. I'm gonna sort of be a devil's advocate. Not really, but 3 totes for what? For any
Three-
building?
No, 3 totes. Say you have 3 totes per building. You're correct. 3 totes per building because there's 3 or 4 apartments in that building. In our residential houses, we can only use 2 35 gallons, which is equivalent to 1 tote. Okay, so if they have multiple floors of people renting, we either can give them 3 or 4 totes. But 12 totes doesn't seem to be the right thing.
I'm just asking, if I have a building that has 6 apartments in it, I'm limited to 3 totes. If I have a building that has 3 apartments in it, I'm still limited to 3 totes. Is that?
Something that large, if you look around the borough, if you have 6 apartments, okay, they have dumpsters. Yeah, they have dumpsters.
I want to make sure that what we're suggesting is clear.
Yeah,
And that's,
well, it could be 5 totes,
I'm
but-
for the 3.
but not
I just wanna-
not 15 for 1 building.
Right.
And I think Mr. Travis can opine about that situation right there. But that's not unique. If you go down the street,
Oh.
it's the same. It's the same
It's
all the way
it's
down.
Same all the way down. I totally
Because they're
understand.
totes are not in the ordinance
No,
at all.
but my second concern is you saying that that car parked there means they can't pull out.
You can't back out
Yeah,
without hitting it. Yeah.
except that that's not the alley. That's somebody's private property.
That's true.
So,
But
like,
we have an
no,
ord- we
I
have-
don't agree with that.
Okay, we have an ordinance that says you're not allowed to park in the right of way. And that's the right of way. So that
Okay.
car doesn't belong there.
Sean,
Car is parked in the right of way, we would write a ticket on it. And
Yeah.
I think alleyways have
Yeah.
about a 20-foot right of way,
Yeah,
sometimes
20-foot
15.
right away from the center.
Yeah.
So that car is not supposed to be there.
okay,
That car is not supposed to be there?
because then we have a lot of cars you can go ticket, including probably mine, but mine's here right now. So stop calling that out. You brought it up.
I agree that it's a quality of life issue. In fact, that's my block. And yesterday,
Sorry to say that.
yesterday I took a picture of a dead rat. And it's not the first time we've had rats. And I think this contributes to our rat problem. And I'm not sure that totes versus dumpsters solves that problem, but we definitely have a trash problem and it's an eyesore. It does create some hazard, certainly nuisance in some cases. I don't know what the answer is. It probably depends on the number of occupants in a building, and we would probably have to do it on a case-by-case basis versus 3 per household or unit, or I don't know what the answer is, but I do think.
So it's a quality of life thing, it's a safety thing. Slide it in there. You're not seeing it.
Some of the rules, depending on where you are in the borough, require you to have some sort of a border around your trash.
True, if you have a dumpster and you can't see it from the street. If you're going down High Street and you're looking straight in, if you can see the trash cans from the street, you have to put a shield in front of it. But totes are not part of the equation because they're not in 62. So
Let's
if they
add
want to have
totes.
that many totes, maybe we say if you have more than 5 totes, you have to shield them. Yeah. But 15 totes for one house is a little excessive.
I very much like the idea of making some sort of rules about this. I like the idea of putting some shields over a certain number or something like that. I love the idea of having a limit so that then we push you to dumpsters. My only concern is when there's a situation that the dumpster won't fit and there's still a building there, I don't want to see a pile of garbage next to 2 totes. So
I totally agree.
it's just I don't know the
Yeah.
details of how this can work, but I
No,
think
but
it
it's,
needs to
that's
be
why
worked out.
what's on discussion. This is the two-prong department issue. The building, Public Works is in charge of picking up all the trash and if the trash is not correct, they label it with an orange sticker and they move on. They don't pick it up. The enforcement aspect of it will fall under building and housing once we figure out a slide rule on what you really need. And I'm not objective to talking to Scott Zukin because I have to call Scott tomorrow morning about something. And I'll ask, he's the president of the Apartment Owners Association. I'll ask him whether I can come or we can go see him and hash out what's realistic. That way they're included because, they're part of the situation. And that way we have better data to bring back to Borough Council.
I think that is a very good approach, and I'd love to be involved in that. So
Let's talk trash.
Talk trash.
Okay. Anyone have anything to add? Mr. Cook?
Darrell Cook, South Walnut Street. To the best of my knowledge, the borough does not restrict private haulers to 1 pickup per week. If they can't get their trash into 3 dumpsters, they have to come twice a week.
I read it. It's on page 412, but I don't speed read. And I'll get back to you on that next time we talk in public, because they can have multiple pickups in a week. I saw that they have to fill up their dumpsters. Mr. Zukin has that over on Wayne Avenue, Wayne and Gay by the taco place. He has it picked up twice a week there. So it's all doable, but like I said, there's a hole in the 62 that we need to address. So, yeah. Thank you. All right. Anything else? Mr. Anderson, you have anything? I appreciate you. Thank you. All right. All right. B, motion to approve leasing of 5 vehicles beginning 2025. They look like Public Works vehicles to me. You getting a new car? Oh, okay.
I'm good. Yeah, we've met with Enterprise, and I think we've landed internally on requesting 5 new leased vehicles. 3 would be for the police, 1 would be for building and housing, and 1 would be for Public Works. And so that's that. But there's also the issue that, you know how long it takes to get these vehicles in. So there's the issue of getting approval to order them before next year's budget is approved, which would be making a commitment, for next year before we have a budget. And so I know that that's a key issue with what we're talking about here. Anything to add?
Yeah, and for the committee's benefit, this item also appears on finance for that reason. It's a commitment of funds in 2025 to increase the line items in these departments for leased vehicles. And we're doing this now because you have to place these orders in now to get cars delivered next year, but it's out of sequence with our normal budget process. And a good budget process is one that considers the whole, because every dollar is the same and every dollar is worth 100 cents, no matter where we spend it. So this is a process we worked out, I believe, last year, where we would bring prospective leased vehicles to the attention of the Public Works and Finance Committee around this time of the year for their consideration and approval prior to the budget being complete, because this is the time that's ripe for making these orders.
Have we ever seen the magic numbers from Enterprise? Because I guess we're swapping out a leased car.
I wouldn't say swapping, well,
No, we've
Fine.
Are we
Not really.
replacing a leased
We've
car?
not-
replacing it, yeah.
not reached the end of any lease cycle.
Okay.
That's what you mean.
Forget about the question, because I wanted to see, I'm waiting to see that magic number to see if they're really full of baloney
Yeah.
or whether they were really telling us the truth all that time, because we don't know until it happens.
2025 will be year number 4 of our relationship with Enterprise, and we signed 5-year commercial leases. So it won't be till end of 26, early 27 till we start. It'll be the 27 budget where we start cycling vehicles coming off lease into new leases.
My team, do you have any issues with giving a nod? Because it's going to go through finance as well.
I was just curious what the magic number was that you were solving to. Is that like
Well,
break
well,
even or?
Well, what they told us when they first started was we were going to save close to $800,000 in I think it was a 5 or 6 year cycle, whatever it was, through the vehicles. But we still don't know what they are until we start, recycling more than one. So, but it's still a great idea because the police are safe. That's the main object. They get brand new cars with the latest equipment that it's upfitted, and we don't have to worry about, them having any issues. And the police cars are really the main concerns. So it's,
I want to draw attention to the one vehicle that's on the screen right now. Can you all read what type of vehicle it is? It's an EV. And I challenge anybody in this room to go buy an EV for $21,500 new off a lot. So we got to really, this is a good number for us. And this is a vehicle that's going to be low mileage, driven in the building and housing fleet with a lot of stop and go driving. And I think that's a good fit for that kind of putt-putt around town vehicle. Of course, probably not, you can't turn a police cruiser, can't turn a Nissan Leaf into a police cruiser. But for our needs to get around town, this is really exciting because this is actually a lower number than our hybrid Toyota Corollas that we're using to putt-putt around town now, which are fantastic. They're getting 44 to 45 miles a gallon, and we're putting around, let's say 2,500 to 4,500 miles a year on each of those vehicles. So when they come off lease, they're going to be low mileage, very low depreciation vehicles. Toyotas do not depreciate as steeply as other brands do. Fords are a brand that depreciate pretty steeply. So we're looking at make and model when we consider vehicles, and we're looking at purpose, and we're trying to develop a system of the right sized vehicle for the right application. And then we're still working through that with the team in Public Works as well, because there's a big fleet there where Enterprise probably isn't a good fit for us because we're leasing larger vehicles, or we're putting low miles on a vehicle and it has a lot of upfit in it. And we're trying to draw that line, make it very black and white so we understand what vehicles make the most sense to lease and which don't.
good.
Makes sense to me. Good. Yep.
Thank you very much. All right, moving on to Mr. Metric. The word motion to approve seems to keep throwing me in, because we're not motioning to approve anything, are we?
Correct.
We're
You're not
discussing
taking,
them.
you're not taking a motion in committee, but that's the item as it will appear on council. So in a sense, you're making a recommendation about this action item to
Okay,
council, but
all
you
right.
aren't, you're correct. You're not taking votes.
Okay. Motion to approve amendment for next gen HVAC maintenance agreement. I guess that's for this building.
This one might require a little tag team with Sean Mitchell, but this is for the new heating and air conditioning system at the Taylor Run wastewater treatment plant. And he was interested in, it is the same system that we do on this building. We just want to add it to the Taylor Run plant. And I believe the additional cost is over $3,000.
No, I'm okay with that. Yeah. it's not-
That's good.
Thank you. Team, you have any other business?
Yeah, I just have one question. It came from a resident, just kind of relaying it regarding the Big Belly
Yeah.
trash cans. I know that we have a contract with the company that runs the Big Belly, or I don't know if we do or not, but they're getting kind of shabby looking
Yes.
and dirty, smelly. It's summertime, so I think it's probably a lot more noticeable. Is there a plan in place to sort of overhaul those?
Nothing firm right now. I totally get what you're saying. And we have talked about starting to add, put them on a schedule to start replacing them. We did buy one recently, happened to be part of an insurance claim. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying.
Is it possible that, to Mr. Travis's question, a lot of the wraps that we put on them are starting to look really bad? When the team empties the trash can, can somebody determine which ones need to be unwrapped?
Definitely.
Yeah, because they don't look very nice.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely.
Yeah.
And we can do that sooner rather than later.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, on other business, Mr. Williams, can you please come up? I want to talk to you about the South High Street pedestrian bus shelter that we talked about on May the 7th.
Hello.
Good evening. The rehash the situation, I remember that the county wanted to supply the bus shelter at Linden and South High Street. And they asked whether the borough would maintain it and, but not in perpetuity. And you went to the university and you asked someone at the university whether they would join in with us to maintain the bus shelter for the pedestrians. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Who at the university told you that they were not interested? Because I've gotten feedback from the university and they said they've never, not to your point, they've never heard of the bus shelter. They were surprised when I
Yeah.
met with them individually. Actually, they just didn't meet with me. They met with everybody from Borough Council
Sure.
individually. And I brought up the bus shelter
Mhm.
and no one seemed to know because they're interested in participating,
Great.
but they don't, we need to probably, if you remember who the person was, what department it was, we can have a discussion with them. We
Yeah.
can,
Okay.
or I can, and inform them of the situation.
Yeah, that's great. It's probably talking to the wrong person. I don't recall who that person was. We met a lot of people from their facilities and sort of grounds departments during the Plum Run illicit discharge thing. And to be clear, that was not like a formal request to the leadership of the university. It was, sort of parallel ask of someone in there.
Would you be open if someone contacts you, my
Yeah.
contact down there? 'Cause
Absolutely.
they would like to they would like to put university logos on it
Sure.
because most of it's university students anyway.
Yeah.
And they're more than happy to help us keep it clean.
Okay.
So offline, I'll send you the contact. It's is actually interested in doing that.
Great. Yeah. Appreciate your help getting to the right person.
Yeah, because, and you know, it's, because we're having a little bit of issues with the university now and then on different things. Like, for example, there's a
Don't say.
701 South High Street, there's a new taco place going in. Even though we don't have jurisdiction inside the buildings, we have jurisdiction outside the buildings. And someone at the university told the contractor they didn't have to get a permit from the borough to put a sign outside, which is not correct. They violated our zoning laws. So I'm trying to find out who at the university is saying things that not getting back to our right people.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anything else?
No, good. Thank you. Team, anything? All right. That was other business?
I'm going to say one thing.
Oh, you
Um,
always do that.
I'm sorry.
Every time I'm ready to go
I
home on
wasn't
ice
gonna
cream.
say something. I
One
just
more thing.
similar conversations with the university and talked about the bus shelter. And my only, I got them to talk about joining the transportation committee that we are forming. I don't want this to look like a university only transportation option. So that is a concern of mine. I want them to put stuff all over it. That's fine. But I want it very clear that that particular location does not belong to the university, that it is available to any resident in our borough.
That's correct. Yeah, the big help is, the big help. And I'm sure they're not going to put, well, it's all glass or all plastic, right? So they're going to put some logos on it. And I'm sure we could have a discussion. Mr. Williams can have a discussion about, you know, tastefully putting logos on there. But the big thing is they're willing to help keep it clean. And that's huge. Yeah, that's huge. And the same person that you met with, same person I met with, and that's the name I'm going to give Mr. Williams.
Yeah, no, I love that. I want to make sure that that's very clear, that I want a trash can next to it and I want it to say SEPTA and not only the university, and be very clear that this is not a university owned, because there is a lot of university only transportation.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
And we don't want to confuse
Yeah.
people.
very good. I'll see how we can work that out. Thank you. Mr. Travis, one more thing?
No, all good.
Okay, meeting's adjourned.